The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Brian, Miss Berlin, and Mr. Betcher for Breaking Down Security.
What's up?
Hello.
Wow, Miss Berlin sounds very...
I'm very sultry.
We'll call it sultry. I was going to say...
Yeah,
okay.
let's go with that.
I was going to say you sound like, what,
a
Luther?
dude.
Luther Vandross? No. Whoever's your big
No,
voice.
no wonder everyone thinks
Barry,
this is...
You're Barry White.
Barry White.
Yeah.
No wonder everyone thinks this is a podcast full of dudes.
Yeah. No. That's too soon.
Throwback.
Yep, too soon.
Throwback.
Yep. So, Miss Berlin, why are you sick?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just bad luck. I got sick. I had my flight left for ShmooCon at 6 a.m. Thursday morning.
Okay.
And so I stayed near the airport because I didn't want to get up that early, being that I have an hour and a half drive to the airport. So I slept from like midnight to 4, and every hour I would wake up and just feel worse, even though I fell asleep feeling fine. So yeah.
So you went to ShmooCon
I've just been
sick.
sick the whole way.
You
Yes,
took the
I was.
con
I
flu with
mean,
you.
it was either that or like skip out on my plane ticket and my other ticket and my hotel. And I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So
I'll just get a bunch of people sick. It's fine.
nobody would notice a difference with con flu being the way it is, but
No, and I sanitize very well. So
oh, that's cool. Okay.
yeah.
So what was the did you see any talks at ShmooCon? Yeah. That was
I saw a couple. I saw Wendy give hers.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a really good one. She talked about like security assessments for taking on new vendors.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
Wow. Hell, that is remarkably very similar to stuff I'm doing right now. So I may need to pick at her brain a little bit to see how we can handle that. So
yeah, it was super cool. I spent a lot of time in bed though, so unfortunately I didn't get to see a whole lot.
Oh yeah. Okay. So what's the venue like there? Is it LobbyCon's pretty awesome, I would imagine, yeah?
LobbyCon is great. I made a lot of really good connections, talked to them about Jeremy and I's training and my company and stuff. So met a lot of people and talked about a lot of cool things that hopefully something will take effect.
Right. You didn't get accepted at Black Hat. Boo, boo. Yes,
no,
yes,
I did
boo.
not get accepted at Black Hat. So we think we might branch out and start giving the training our own, because we have our own like Northern Ohio InfoSec group, and then there's MySec and stuff like that. We want to maybe start giving it independently.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Well, I know of another outlet you could probably give it to as well, but that's neither here nor there. But Mr. Betcher, sorry, how you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You told me before we started recording that the latest version of LogMD is finished. You're just going to push to master and call it good?
Yep. We're editing the manual. The manual's like, I don't know, it's over 50 pages. It's got a lot of good security stuff in it.
No, wait.
It's not simply how do you use LogMD, but it's how do you do security well. And then there's this LogMD thing you can use.
See, you're not doing it right. You're in DevOps. You don't do documentation. You wait and let other people figure out the documentation. That's how that works.
Right.
Anyway.
No, it's great. The manual is worth the price of admission, I think. Right, because it's jam-packed with good stuff. So yeah.
Well, like what?
We really take a lot of time doing the documentation well, the help menus done right, and all that good stuff. So then you can just jump right in.
Okay. All right. And does it tell you how to use the application and along with like some of the logging cheat sheet stuff, or is it what are we looking at there?
Yeah. it definitely references the cheat sheets, and it basically tells you how to do endpoint security, some of the techniques that we use in the field, because we're involved in a lot of different organizations,
Okay.
sort of as a consulting arm. So we've seen a lot,
Right.
and these techniques definitely work in the field. So it's what we've come to realize gives you the best bang for your buck and quickest,
Nice.
right, way to find and prevent, or at least defend against malware attacks.
Right. Okay. So LogMD is not a sponsor of the show. They should be, because they're making fat bank and stuff. But we're working on that. So, but just having Mr. Betcher on is payment enough for me. But I appreciate that. So anyway, so our guest this week is falling asleep. So I'm going to get him on because he's in our green room, and he's a big important guy, and I want to make sure that we get all the time that we can get with him, because we haven't had him on in 3 years, Mr. Betcher? I think it predates Ms. Berlin.
Really? It's that long?
I think so. Yeah. I think the last time we had him on, it was like summertime 2016, sometime 2017.
Well, he's been building companies and stuff. That's for sure.
Empire building, man. He's just, doing a lot of stuff. So, Marcus Carey is joining us today. Thank you, Mr. Carey, for joining us.
Back up in the heezy, baby.
Nice. So you, amongst other things, you're a prolific author, forever defender, forever blue team, and you're also the enterprise architect at how do you pronounce that? ReliaQuest?
That's correct. ReliaQuest. And I don't know about how prolific I am, because actually my contributors actually made these books. So I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Well, you collate, and then you fold and spindle and mutilate the book into what it is. You're one of the authors and collators and collectors of the Tribe of Hackers. For those people who are not aware of the Tribe of Hackers, how did that come about? And what does it mean to be in the Tribe of Hackers?
So what's pretty cool about it is we both read a lot of books. Tim Ferriss is one of the authors. I kind of pick up everything he does. Malcolm Gladwell is another one of my favorites, and I know you like Malcolm Gladwell.
Yep.
So Tim Ferriss had this book called Tribe of Mentors. Well, he actually has a podcast, and he interviews all his celebrity friends. So I have a bunch of hacker friends. And so I was like, wow, this would be pretty cool, because LobbyCons rule at conferences, and then sometimes people are afraid to approach people. Like, people would be intimidated to approach somebody like Amanda or other people, and like, hey, look, like, people may be afraid to approach me, right? I have people hit me and say, hey, yeah, I saw you at a conference, but I was too scared to, speak up or whatnot. And I was like, hey, you should have just came and hollered at me, because, I'm human. So I was like, wow, it would be fantastic if I could get all my hacker friends to talk about security, so a lot of people can, I ask them questions that everybody wants to ask. How did they get started and all that other stuff? Because that's what people want to know. So I was like, wow, that'd be great in a security book. So I was like, I started to put it together. I started submitting book proposals to everybody. Nobody wanted to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Huh. And so I was like, wow, I guess I gotta put this book out myself. So I ended up, I was, at the time I was the founder and CEO of Threatcare. And I was like, well, I can actually pay for doing this myself. So it cost about $25,000 to actually do the book. Funny enough, because, you gotta have, I mean, you can do it for cheaper, of course, but, we wanted to do a good job. Right. And we did it. We did a good job. We reached out to a lot of people, and totally worked out the way I wanted to. People were blessed by it. A lot of people, a lot of people have reached out and told me that they benefited from the book. And not only the book itself, it's like I almost say the tribe that it formed as well. So now I'm really good friends with many of the people. Yes. I see these people helping other people, and I'm just blessed to be connected with all these awesome people. And so that's what it's all about. It's all about being that tribe. It's all about it's all about helping each other out, and that's what the book's about, and that's what the whole Tribal Hacker series is about. And and I talked about I used to work at Rapid7 back in the day, and I used to work with Egypt, and Egypt was talking. He used to always talk. Egypt uses all these big words, and I'm just a dumb country boy. So Egypt talks about stuff like tribal knowledge, and I'm like, "What's tribal knowledge?" And so I looked up what tribal knowledge is, because there's a lot of stuff that we know, and some people know that have been in the game for a while, but there's people that they don't know these things, and so to bringing them in a tribe to have them be a part of our community, they should have a place where they can pick up and read and learn. And I was telling Amanda that her book is one of the books that I actually had all my salespeople read and all my pre-sales people read, because you have to get them into the game, and
Right.
that's how you do it, is by spreading that tribal knowledge, and that's what the books are about.
Very cool. Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense. Miss Berlin, you should, definitely be pushing that for salespeople. It's like, the perfect stocking stuffer for your sales directors or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I push it for everybody, but
That's true.
I mean, I learned a lot writing it, and I had even been in security for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with afraid to go up and talk to people. I'm still afraid to go up and talk to certain people just because, like, I don't know, like I've been on both sides, right? I always find it weird that people are afraid to come up and talk to me because I'm always so awkward around people. I always find it weird to go up and talk to people too. So I don't want to be that like weird fangirl bothering somebody. And the same second, the next second, I'm like, well, why would anybody think that
Right.
about me? So yeah, I think it's super helpful.
Yeah, I get it so awkward. I don't want to even talk to myself when I'm around myself. So yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
it's weird. Yeah. So I saw some recent tweets, and I actually saw ReliaQuest had acquired your company Threatcare back in like November timeframe, and I had wanted to have you on before then, and I didn't know if there was any kind of issues with that, but I'm glad that your company was able to allow you to join us, because I had some questions about things like attack simulation. This surprisingly enough came up last week as well, because I'm working at a customer right now that deals with a lot of other customers, and some terms tend to come up in these reports like threat analysis, and we use the most sophisticated methods of attack simulation. And I'm like, seriously, is that a thing? So it's actually quite relevant to the discussion that I'm having. Maybe because you work for a company that prides itself on this attack simulation type software, maybe you could give us a little idea as to what that is.
So there's multiple phases to this, right? So one of the things that we kind of talked about a little bit before is threat modeling, and how do you threat model properly?
Mm-hmm.
And so within the organization, they got to understand what that threat model looks like. And fortunately, there's a lot of free information out there about how do you threat model, and me being a Navy guy, we always thought of threat modeling as, what's the worst that could happen, what's the most important things that we need to protect. But when I was in the Navy, I did cryptography. So if something happened, you had to burn all the key tapes.
Right.
We had to milk the crypto.
all them blue paper tapes and stuff.
Yeah. There's all these things you did if something happened, right? And like you also knew what is the most important things to protect. So in security, what are we trying to protect? And when I was at NSA, we had this thing called the information assessment methodology, and I think it doesn't exist anymore. But some people should check that out, and basically assess what's most important in your organization, and then from a threat modeling perspective, you kind of see how what you need to protect. I'm a big fan of data flow diagrams. Microsoft has a free tool. Everybody should be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just mapping out that data and how it can be attacked, right? So then, and so what's cool about ReliaQuest? ReliaQuest has this thing they have this term that I hadn't heard before. It's called a security model, right? And what they say is everybody's security model is different, and it's true. So your threat model is different, but your security model is how you work with your threat model. And so this is like, what tools do you buy? Do you buy IDSs? Do you buy firewalls? Do you do all that stuff, right? So that's kind of like, so the security model is what you're assessing right now, if this client or whatever. What's their security model? And if they threat model properly, how do they overlay, right? And so how I view attack simulation is you should do a couple of things. You should do some kind of information assessment methodology. You should probably classify data. You should probably classify systems that you're trying to protect, right? And then you build a security model that actually protects that data. Sometimes people are doing security just to do security, and that's just not smart.
And in what ways is it not smart? Are you talking about you're going all out to secure something that really isn't that important, and potentially leaving something else on the table that's not that is very important that you're not really, like, say you missed?
Yeah, 100%. If you're going around playing whack-a-mole for systems that don't have important data, then you're actually wasting your team's time. What I would say is you should focus your resources on things that are actually business critical. Like if you process credit cards and you have to save some kind of crazy information, focus your resources on that and then branch out from there. It's always about what's the crown jewel of the business. And sometimes in security, we forget that we are protecting and enabling a business, right? And so, so what I mean by that is like those systems that are processing the most sensitive data and the data that's critical to your organization, that's where you focus most of your resources on, right? So, and that's kind of like what we don't do a good job of sometimes. We're worried about all the other stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, in my experience, however limited it may be, it's not fun documenting where your information is or where your assets are. It's fun to track down vulnerabilities or to show how, this could be a really bad thing. And I'm actually giving a talk on risk analysis and threat assessments and threat modeling to some. I don't know why, but this teacher is wanting me to come and talk to some graduate students at the end of February. And one of the other things I was coming up with is, talking attack simulations will be a great example, but it's like you can only threat model so much. The idea is, when you're buying the software, the hardware that you need to offset some of those threats, is the idea that you want to try to go for the 80-20 rule. So if it's like all of these things will be solved by picking up X, or most of these things will be done by picking up X, is that the idea of how a proper threat model should be to help you understand and your organization understand which technologies it should use? Or if your CIO's like, oh, I think we should have quantum enabled resilient file systems, and you're like, no, we need a firewall. So, I mean, does the threat model help with, making a better case for certain technologies?
Yeah, I think so. You're going to threat model, and I think that use that threat model to do two different things. Again, you figure out what our security model is. Your security model is going to be: should you buy a firewall? Should you buy endpoint protection? What endpoint protection is going to work best in your case? What architecture, how to set up your VLANs, how to do everything like that. Basically, your threat model kind of should determine how you lay out your security model. And if you're doing attack simulations, make sure that you're doing it in a way that reflects your actual threat model. So if you're worried about this attack X, Y, and Z, don't be doing frivolous stuff that has nothing to do with your actual threat model. So I think that it's easy to be distracted. ShmooCon just happened. Sure, tons of awesome stuff went on there. But we'll go back to work and be worried about this new freaking attack. Oh, snap, there's this new attack. God dang, we need to prepare for this. And then, you go to look at it, oh, it really doesn't affect us.
Right.
So that's what I think that you want to make sure that your threat model is conducive with the business. It matches the business. Your security model means you're buying the right stuff to defend it. I don't care what products there is. We don't, I've always been pretty much vendor agnostic. So whatever you need to do to defend, what you believe that threat model is, and then you do attack simulations to validate that the security controls you put in place, that security model is helping you prevent those threat models and the worst thing that can happen scenarios from happening. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Everything should be in line.
Along those lines, I've been in meetings where the CISO will have a meeting with his entire staff and ask the question, are we protecting ourselves against that advanced attack that no one's ever heard of yet, but we've got the tools to be able to find it? Now, he poses that question while at the same time, he's got open RDP to the internet, unbeknownst to him, right? So I see a lot of organizations that are worried about the less than 1%, right? But then they've got that big gaping hole exposed to the internet. And it seems to me that they need to take about 10 steps back and kind of do an overview of, okay, let's just attack this from the very beginning and mind our X's and O's first, right? Do you see a lot of that going on?
I mean, certainly. I did an incident response last year where somebody had MSSP. The MSSP created a set, like 10 machines. He did on high level ports where he mapped RDP ports to external ports. So if you just scan the internet, you just scan their IP address, you say 10 machines, they're connected directly to the internet. So, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And you can just log in right from the internet. And the reason why he did it is that the VPN, the router, kept on dropping their VPN connections. So he just opened up RDP. So it's crazy. So I mean, like, yeah, I see stuff like that happen all the time. And what you're right. Basic fundamentals. There's the people talk about blocking and tackling, to use a sports ball terminology. So yeah, definitely you got to cover all the bases. And like, I think that like when I hear about something new comes out, just ask yourself, so what? Does it really matter to me?
Right.
Don't automatically jump the gun and try to start protecting its XYZ. Some new Windows exploit come out. Oh, it's not, but you're running all Linux in your environment or something crazy like that. So, but yeah, I see this stuff all the time.
Yeah, and you need a good threat model to be able to reference and say, now, wait a minute, how does this affect us? Do we really need to be worried about this? Right? So that comes into play even later on. You do a good threat model, you can reference that and update it, say, every year, every quarter, whatever.
Yep. So help Miss Berlin not feel sad, because she loves her some attack matrix, and sounds like attack simulation is going to get rid of all of that. The attack matrix is going to be dead because of attack simulation. So right.
So tell me, or so clarify what you're saying, Amanda. What are you talking about?
Well, she's huge into defense, and this attack simulation stuff is gonna.
I don't know. The attack matrix and all those other frameworks aren't foolproof.
They aren't.
No. Yeah. So here's what I think. I think that, again, I think it takes everything together, right? And so I'm a huge believer in defense in depth. The attack framework, the MITRE attack framework from MITRE, the MITRE guys, it's really good, because what I like about it is it breaks down all the attacks into a common language, right? And that's what what we're doing is we all talking about stuff, but we can talk about it in a different vernacular, different languages. You're talking about one thing. It sounds like I'm talking about something different, but we're talking about the exact same thing. So I love attack because it's bringing everything together under one. You know, we're all on the same verbiage, and it's good for a blue team because when blue teams were like writing up a report, they can reference the attack framework and say, "Here's how that attack happened." If a red team is trying to do an attack simulation, the red team can say, "Here's how that attack works, and this is what it means." So everybody's on the same sheet of music now. So that's why I like attack and all these other different things that come out. That's why it's great. And again, your threat model, use some kind of attack simulations to validate that your security model is protecting you against whatever is happening related to the threat model. It's like a circle. It's like the scientific method. I'm a big fan in the scientific method. So to me, your threat model is somewhat of a hypothesis, right?
Right.
And that's kind of like the first thing in scientific method, right? You formulate a hypothesis, right? You can make predictions on how this is going to happen. That's part of threat modeling, and then you have to test that hypothesis. And how do you test the hypothesis? Attack simulation, right? That could be one thing. An attack simulation could be an automated tool, like something I built, or it could be manually testing it, right? You could use something like as simple as ping or telnet or SSH. I mean, you can use any tool in the toolbox to validate those assumptions, those hypotheses that you're making. You know, your threat model says, attacker may try to SSH into my system, right? Well, you have control. They need SSH keys, right? That's a countermeasure. So can I authenticate to this box with SSH without a key? Sweet, you just validated that it works. And then, like Betcher, so scientific method is like a loop, right? You test, you look at your results, and then you can either change that stuff, and then you create another test. Your hypothesis may change, but that's what security is about. It should be more science than we're. I think it's a science.
That was it for part 1 of our interview with Marcus Carey. He'll be back next week with part 2. We'll discuss some more red teaming. We'll discuss Tribe of Hackers. We'll also discuss some leadership lessons from someone in senior leadership. If you're interested, please come back and hang out some more with us. Before we go, some Twitter handles. Miss Berlin, you can find her on Twitter at InfoSister, or you can follow them at Hackers Health, her nonprofit for mental health issues and trying to bring awareness to mental health issues in the community. Mr. Betcher can be found at BetcherPwned on Twitter, and also log-md.com is the application that we've been talking about this week and next week about how you can use it as a forensic tool or an incident response tool to help get better logs from your Windows systems. You can follow me on Twitter as well, Brian Break. You can also follow the official podcast Twitter at BreakSec. We also have conference Twitter is at InfoSec Campout. That's all one word. I'd like to thank our Patreons for their continued support. It's very much appreciated. All the money goes to time and effort of putting out a podcast, making sure that we can host the podcast on Libsyn. Also pays for the Zoom that we pay for every month to be able to record the podcast and deliver additional content, like some of the training videos that PonySeg does on our Slack channel. Speaking of our Slack channel, if you are interested in joining our Slack channel, we're a moderated Slack. We have roughly 300-400 active users per day. Couple thousand total accounts. We do moderate. We do have a social contract. We have a no politics clause. So if you're interested in doing that, you can send us a DM to BreakSec, or you can email bds.podcast@gmail.com. We also have a TeePub store if you're wanting a coffee cup or a coffee mug or stickers or t-shirt or any kind of paraphernalia with our logo on it. You can go to tpublic.com/user/BDS podcast. That's all lowercase. We're also on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud. We have a YouTube channel. All of those links you can find in our show notes at Breaking Security. That's BRAKEING security.com. And stay tuned next week. Like I said, we're going to talk some more about red teaming. We're going to talk about some more Tribe of Hackers stuff. And we're going to have a grand old time. So it's always great to have Marcus on. I always learn a lot when I see him. And if you have the opportunity, he will be at Blue Team Con speaking in the near future. So if you don't hear, he'll mention that I think next week. But just to let everybody know, if that's something you want to reach out to Marcus, he'll be at Blue Team Con, and you can hang out and buy him a soft drink or something, and just learn from him if you can. So that was it for this week on Breaking Down Security. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit us up or leave us any feedback, and we'll try to mention it in upcoming shows. So have a great week. Be nice to one another. Take care of yourself, because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.